looking everywhere, that's how the story goes. Grab your gear, hold on tight.
Where love ends and darkness begins. By chapter 11, Ethan is no longer the man who wandered into the forest. That man was curious. That man still had choices. Now he is bound by desire, by fear, and by a love that tastes of blood and ash. The undead beauties who surround him, Clara, Lillia, Isabella, Nadia, have become more than phantoms. They are real, they are dangerous, and they are in love. But love in this place is not soft or forgiving. It takes, it consumes, and Ethan is willingly offering himself to it. The seductive infection has spread beyond his body. It's in his soul, in every whispered promise, in every forbidden kiss. But even as Ethan embraces the darkness, something deeper begins to rise. An ancient queen awakens, the cursed estate trembles. And not all who walk the forest are bound by love. New threats emerge, jealous undead lovers, vengeful spirits, and dark prophecies. As secrets unravel, Ethan must face a devastating truth. One of the women he trusts most will betray him. Will he still follow his heart, even if it's no longer beating? Now is the time to catch up before the final descent begins. Subscribe to the Zombie Story Zone for the final seductive horror chapters. Like this video if you're enjoying the story, and comment below, who should Ethan choose and who do you fear the most? The dead do not rest, and neither does the truth. Would you like a matching to be continued after chapter 12 or chapter 15?
Laughter, it's a crazy mix. With every twist and turn, we'll learn some new tricks. So grab your frames.
The night after their return from the grove, Isabella stopped breathing. Ethan woke to find her beside him, eyes half open, lips pale, body ice cold. But her heart was still beating. Barely. Faint, slower than before. He pressed his ear to her chest, desperation clawing through him. "Don't go," he whispered. "Don't leave me like this." Her lips moved slightly. A breathless whisper, "She won't let me." By morning, the hollow had dimmed. Fog no longer lifted. The trees leaned in. The birds were silent. Even the roses stopped blooming. Clara, once the pillar of quiet strength, now stood in the hallway speaking to someone who wasn't there. "She's knocking now," Clara murmured. The bride is ready." Marcus, his leg still healing, began scratching symbols onto the floor with chalk, obsessed with warding signs. Seraphina, once composed, stared out the chapel window, humming lullabies. Only Ethan still fought. He tended to Isabella's body by day, sat beside her by night, read her poems from old books, held her cold hands, whispered promises. But it was clear she was slipping. Each morning she remembered less. Names, places, her own laughter. Once, she woke and asked, "Have we met?" Ethan's heart shattered. That night, the dream returned. He stood beneath the sycamore tree. Lillia waited for him, barefoot, wrapped in mist, her long black hair braided with bones. "Come with me," she said gently. "End this, end your ache." He looked down. His hands were stained with blood. "Isabella's? I can give you peace," Lillia whispered. "No more pain, no more loss." She opened her arms, and for the first time, he stepped into them. Her kiss was cold, but not cruel, deep, but not possessive. She held him like a lover and a coffin. "I love you," she breathed into his ear, "enough to let you choose." When Ethan awoke, his chest burned. A rose had bloomed over his heart, black-petaled, glowing faintly blue. He rushed to Seraphina. She gasped at the sight. "She's marked you," she whispered. "You've kissed her in the dream realm. The final seal is next. Once she claims you in waking, it's over. Can we stop it?" Ethan asked. Seraphina opened her book. "There's one final rite, but it requires a willing sacrifice, someone who carries love strong enough to challenge hers." He stared at Isabella's fading form. "Then I'll do it," he said. Seraphina grabbed his wrist. "If you do, you may save Isabella, but you won't come back the same, if you come back at all. I'd rather die human than live as a ghost in someone else's grief." That night, the sky split open with thunder. In the hollow, another body vanished, Marcus, gone without a scream. Only his pendant was found, wrapped in ivy, and at the edge of the woods, under a bleeding moon, Lillia watched the manor with eyes full of sorrow. "He kissed me once," she whispered. "That is all I need." The final seduction had begun. The hollow bled, not in the way of wounds, but through the trees, the flowers, the sky itself. The roses around Raventhorn Manor now wept crimson at dawn. The vines writhed against the walls at night. The birds had stopped returning altogether, and in the center of it all, Isabella stirred. Ethan sat beside her, reading aloud from a book of poetry when she suddenly opened her eyes. But they were no longer hers. They glowed faintly gold. "Ethan," she said in Lillia's voice, "you dreamed of me again." He froze. "I kissed you," she continued, sitting up slowly, head tilting. "And you let me. You liked the way I tasted, like memory, like regret." He reached for the silver dagger under the pillow. She laughed. "Put it away. You wouldn't stab her." No, it leaned closer, pressing Isabella's lips to his cheek. "You love her," Lillia's voice whispered, "but part of you belongs to me now." Then her body went limp, eyes rolling back, breath faltering. Ethan caught her. "No, come back! Don't let her take you." Downstairs, Clara locked herself in the wine cellar, muttering about wedding bells in the forest. Seraphina, her face drawn and pale, opened the final page of the black grimoire. "There's one way to challenge a bound bride," she said. "A heart exchange." Ethan's voice cracked. "What does that mean?" "You enter the hollow," she explained, "with an item of pure love, something Lillia cannot corrupt. If your love is stronger than hers, the soul tether breaks. Isabella is free. And if it isn't, you'll die, or worse, become hers, forever." He swallowed. "What kind of item?" Seraphina thought. "The ring you once gave Isabella, the one she never took off. That symbol of love must be buried beneath the sycamore tree, while the bride is watching." Ethan nodded. "Then tell me where to dig." As twilight painted the sky blood red, Ethan took the ring and wrapped it in silk. He and Seraphina crept into the hollow, their footsteps muffled by the whispering roots. By the time they reached the tree, Lillia was already waiting. She stood barefoot, her gown flowing like mist, her long hair now streaked with flame-red vines. Her eyes glowed, not with anger, but longing. "You came to bury your heart," she said softly. "I came to end this," Ethan replied. She stepped forward. "You loved me. You just don't remember it. In another life, we danced, we laughed, we kissed under this very tree." Seraphina circled, dagger ready. "Let her go, Lillia," she hissed. "The past is not consent." But Lillia ignored her. She touched the ring in Ethan's hand. "Will you bury it?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Or will you place it on my finger?" For a moment, Ethan stood still. Even Seraphina held her breath. Then he bent, slow, steady, and pushed the ring into the earth. Lillia let out a soft, aching sob. The ground trembled, and far away, back in the manor, Isabella screamed. The final tether had begun to snap. The scream echoed through the hollow like a bell tolling at a funeral. Ethan turned from the sycamore tree, heart racing. "She's waking." Lillia stepped back, expression unreadable. Her eyes glistened like storm-washed glass. "I didn't want this to end in pain," she whispered. "But love always does." Seraphina clutched the silver dagger tighter. "We didn't come for endings. We came for truth." Lillia's fingers brushed the bark of the tree, her voice hollow and haunting. "Do you want to know how I died?" she said. "It wasn't poison or blades or drowning in despair. It was love." Back at the inn, Isabella's body convulsed. Clara hovered over her, whispering prayers in forgotten tongues. But it was Seraphina's spell circle beneath the bed, drawn in salt, rosemary, and rose ash, that kept her from slipping completely away. Isabella's eyes flew open. Blue, then gold, then black. She gasped. "I saw her. I saw everything." In the hollow, the ground around the sycamore split like cracking bone. Lillia stepped forward, eyes never leaving Ethan's. "I loved once," she said. "His name was Corin. He promised forever, the way men do. But on the eve of our wedding, he fled and took his heart with him." She gestured to the tree's base. "They buried me here. Still wearing the gown, still bleeding, but not dead, not fully." Seraphina's voice trembled. "That's why your soul lingers." Lillia nodded. "My heart never stopped hoping." Then her voice hardened. "Until now." Suddenly, roots exploded from the soil, wrapping around Seraphina's legs and yanking her off her feet. Ethan lunged to catch her, but the vines dragged her toward the tree. Lillia floated forward, her eyes blazing. "You buried your love," she said to Ethan, "but love doesn't die so easily. You want to save her? Then see what I felt." She touched his forehead. Everything changed. In a flash, Ethan stood in the past, wearing a different face, holding Lillia's hand beneath a younger sky. They were dancing, laughing, kissing. Then, betrayal. He let go. He ran. And Lillia stood alone in the clearing, heartbroken, abandoned. "Do you see now?" Her voice echoed. "It was always you, in every life, every lifetime." Ethan fell to his knees. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I didn't remember." "You never do," she said, stepping toward him. "But you always break me." Back in the present, Isabella gasped again, clutching her chest. "I feel him. He's slipping." Clara placed a hand on her forehead. "Then fight for him." Isabella gritted her teeth. "If she wants his heart, she'll have to rip it from mine." In the hollow, Lillia extended a hand. "I'll let them all go," she whispered. "No more ghosts, no more hunger. Just you and me, Ethan, like we were meant to be." He stood, trembling. Seraphina cried out from the ground, "Ethan, don't forget who you are." He looked into Lilia's eyes and saw the truth. Love twisted into obsession. Passion soured into grief. A seductress made by sorrow. "I loved you once," he said softly, "but that doesn't make me yours forever." He pulled the silver dagger from his coat and stabbed it into the roots of the tree. The sycamore screamed. So did Lillia. Wind howled. Petals scattered like ash. And somewhere in the dark, the dead heart cracked. Lillia fell to her knees, clutching her chest. "You killed me again," she whispered. "No," Ethan said. "I finally let you go." The sycamore groaned. Its bark cracked open, releasing a gush of blackened sap that steamed as it touched the ground. The rose bushes around it wilted instantly, their petals curling inward like closing eyes. Lillia clutched the air, trembling. "You don't understand. I wasn't trying to kill them. I just didn't want to be alone anymore." Her beauty was fading. The glow in her skin flickered. Her long black hair turned dull at the edges, like smoke in the wind. Seraphina stood beside Ethan now, battered but alive. "It's over," she whispered. "You've broken her bond." But Lilia's voice came softer now. "Then let me go. Completely." She reached into her chest and pulled free a single blackened rose, the last tether, the last memory. She held it to Ethan. "Take it, burn it, bury it, forget me. That's what you want, isn't it?" Ethan stepped forward, but just as his fingers touched the stem, a scream pierced the forest. Isabella. Back at the manor, the vines had broken through the windows. The floorboards split. The fireplace bled red smoke. Clara backed into a corner, swinging a lantern as the walls breathed. And at the center of it all, Isabella floated inches above the bed, her eyes flickering between blue and gold. "Let go!" she shouted to something invisible. "Let me stay!" Ethan and Seraphina sprinted back through the dying hollow, the blackened branches swiping at their arms like claws. Lightning cracked the sky open above them. The inn was barely standing. Inside, Isabella was convulsing, arms outstretched, mouth open in a silent scream. Clara was on the floor, unconscious. Seraphina began chanting from the grimoire. Ethan rushed to Isabella's side. "I'm here," he said, grabbing her hand. "I'm still here." But her eyes flashed golden again. "You kissed her?" the voice inside her hissed. "I let her go," Ethan replied, "because I love you. Not a memory. Not a curse." A pause. Then her grip tightened, her skin warming, her eyes turning human again. She gasped. "Ethan?" He nodded, crying. "You came back." But the walls weren't finished crumbling. The manor groaned. The vines lashed wildly. One by one, the foundations of Lilia's world began to fall. Seraphina screamed, "We have to run! Now!" Clara, dazed, joined them as they escaped out the back door, the inn collapsing behind them. They reached the edge of the hollow as the sky bled red and gold, and in the distance, Raventhorn Manor exploded in a burst of ash, fire, and petals, blown into the wind like confessions. At the center, just for a moment, Ethan saw her, Lillia, standing beneath the dying tree, alone, at peace, and then she vanished. Later, as the sun rose over a quiet forest no longer breathing death, Isabella leaned against Ethan's shoulder, weak but smiling. "She's really gone," she whispered. Ethan nodded. "Do you think she ever really wanted to hurt us?" she asked. He didn't answer at first. "No," he said. "She just wanted to be remembered." But deep in the soil beneath the ashes, something still bloomed. A single red rose. Still warm, still waiting. Weeks passed. The hollow healed. Or so it seemed. The vines shriveled and died. The sycamore tree was gone, burned to ash. Raventhorn Manor lay in ruin, reclaimed by earth and silence. Ethan and Isabella stayed in Valamir a little longer, helping Clara rebuild the inn. The laughter slowly returned. The roses bloomed again, soft pinks and whites, never blood red. Isabella grew stronger, her warmth returned, her heart beat steadily. Yet sometimes when she slept, she whispered things in Lilia's voice. "She still sees you," she mumbled one night. In reflections, in dreams. Ethan never told her what he saw, too. Every mirror he passed flickered. Every time he walked through the orchard, the wind whispered his name. But he told himself it was over. Until the night the stranger arrived. A heavy storm rolled in, shaking the valley. Most of the village shuttered down. The inn was quiet. Ethan was wiping down the counter when the door creaked open. A woman stepped inside. She was tall, elegant, and draped in midnight blue. Soaked by rain, but glowing somehow, like moonlight trapped in skin. "Room for one?" she asked, her voice calm, velvet smooth. Ethan stiffened. "You're not from around here." She smiled faintly. "Not anymore." She dropped a silver coin on the counter, aged, old as legend. "I was told," she said, "this place once housed a love so powerful, it cursed a forest." Ethan's hands clenched. "We don't tell that story anymore." "Shame," she replied. "It's a good one." He studied her eyes, blue. But when the lightning flashed outside, just for a moment, they gleamed gold. She turned toward the staircase. "I'll see myself up." That night, Ethan couldn't sleep. He sat alone at the hearth, the fire slowly dying. The inn felt too quiet, the air too still. Then he heard it. A soft creak on the stairs, bare footsteps on the wood. Isabella stepped into the room, her robe clutched tightly, her face pale. "She's here, isn't she?" she whispered. Ethan nodded. They walked together to the woman's room. The door was open, but the bed was empty. No bags, no clothes. No guest, only a single rose placed on the pillow, blood red and fresh. And beside it, a note, handwritten, flowing script. Open quote, "When you break a heart, you bury it. When you break it twice, it learns to bury itself." LR close quote. Isabella stepped back, trembling. "It's not over." Ethan picked up the rose, still warm, still pulsing faintly in his hand. "She's not gone," he said. "She just changed her shape." They burned the rose that night, said the old rites. Buried the ashes under salted stone. But they both knew the truth. The Dead Heart Seductress doesn't die. She simply waits for another love to fail. Final line. In a distant city, in another inn, another couple sleeps, blissful and blind. And across the room, in the mirror above the bed, Lillia smiles. You thought the curse was broken. You thought the hollow had fallen silent. But evil doesn't end with fire. It only changes form. Somewhere in a distant town, a couple checks into an old inn. Their love is young, beautiful, pure. But the mirror in their room? It's cracked at the corner. And when the woman brushes her hair, she doesn't notice the second reflection smiling behind her. Lillia Raventhorn never truly died. She was never just a ghost. She was a lesson. A heartbreak waiting to happen again. Because love, when left to rot, becomes something undead. Was this the end, or just the beginning? If you were haunted by Dead Heart Seductress, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the Zombie Story Zone for more thrilling horrors, seductive curses, and terrifying twists. Hit the bell icon so you never miss what creeps up next. Because sometimes, the one who loves you most wants you dead. Dead Heart Seductress, zombie love story, horror romance, undead seduction, the Zombie Story Zone. Ghost Bride returns, heartbreak never dies, haunted love gothic thriller.
We'll survive the night. From the graveyards to the streets, hear the whispers low. Every story's a thrill, come and let your courage show. Fight or flight.